Gold and silver are once again jumping from one all-time high to the next. Bitcoin now seems to have found its bottom for the time being, and the bond markets in Japan are calming down. And with that, welcome to a new crypto update video. Yeah, yesterday was actually pretty amusing. Bitcoin dropped, everything dropped except for commodities and precious metals. So we're absolutely in a risk-off mode. Japanese bonds are slowly pulling back a bit again because the government has put on the brakes a little. And yeah, everything's fine. It's really not that bad. We're doing well, yada, yada, yada. Usually, these are the kinds of signs that show up when it's already too late, and then you just have to apply a bit more pressure. But all right, we'll definitely take a look at all of this now. Bitcoin is holding at the support level. What about the altcoins? We'll discuss everything in the next 10 minutes. But before we get started, as always, feel free to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course join the free Telegram talk and Signal group if you're interested in updates, news and signals. Come on in if you want to stay informed. You'll find the link for that for free down in the video description. And if you're still looking for an exchange where you can trade everything we discuss here, whether it's stocks, forex, crypto, whatever, you can trade it all on my partner exchange, BingX. Feel free to sign up, and right now there are bonuses in USDT you can claim. All right, let's get started. Bitcoin at US dollars. We've broken out of our bear flag, swept the liquidity below, and bounced back up. At first glance, that actually doesn't look too bad. As we already discussed yesterday, we still have several red vectors up here around US dollars. That would still be a possibility since we haven't had a real drawdown to the downside yet. I think that's a better way to put it. What I mean by that is that we haven't had a rapid sell-off yet. Sure, yesterday didn't look so great, but you also have to say there hasn't been that mega shakeout yet. I also mentioned that in the live stream yesterday that I kind of feel like that's still missing at the moment, even though we've just broken down out of this bear flag in the short term. Otherwise, if we take a quick look at the market overview, S&P 500 futures advanced, Japanese bonds rebounded after a sell-off that rippled through global debt markets, and US equity index futures rose as volatility showed tentative signs of easing. Yields on 30-year Japanese debt fell 22 basis points to 3.99% after Finance Minister Katayama called for calm, following a rout that had pushed super long yields to all-time highs. So in the end, what did Japan do? If we take a quick look at the bonds, the long-term ones, hey, they've really completely collapsed to 3.76. That's still not a real sign of stabilization, but at least it seems to be a small indication that Japan, or rather also the US, after Besser said yesterday, oh, we need to talk to Japan to calm the markets down a bit, at least shows that something is being done. The problem is if we look at the long-term bonds, they're still at a completely insane level. The long-term bonds have seen a very, very sharp drop, but in my opinion, that's not the end of it, because if you look at US treasuries, they haven't moved at all. Zero, nothing. Japan is what we all need to keep an eye on now. There's still an interest rate decision coming up on Friday, and if we look at the yen, it just doesn't look strong. So for me, it doesn't look like any carry trades are being unwound right now or in the past few days. On the contrary, the world is still focused on other things at the moment, like the whole situation with Greenland, the EU, and possible tariffs with the USA. Yesterday, Trump was rambling about the Panama Canal again. He'd also like to have it back or have control over it. So in my opinion, this issue is far from over. And in my view, there's just way too much going on everywhere for it to be over. Of course, the topic of Japan is also active everywhere. Another point is the whole story with Trump and Greenland. Today, he's also scheduled to speak in Davos, which is a whole other topic that could cause a lot of volatility. I'm not even sure if it's listed in the economic calendar, but in any case, you should definitely keep an eye on it. It's not listed, but in my opinion, it's going to be one of the most important events today. If he goes on the offensive again, it will probably have negative consequences for Bitcoin and the entire stock market. Otherwise, a brief recovery is definitely possible. If we take a look at the heat map here on the side and remove the small orders, we can see that towards the top, around 96,000, there's a larger cluster again, while to the downside, there's actually less. But you also have to say, the higher the time frame, the more the biggest clusters are between and US dollar, short term, around 96 to 1,000 positive. We've also filled the CME gap down here, so for now everything has been dealt with in the short term. Now either things will finally calm down a bit, or Trump is already preparing his next attack to make the markets nervous once again. Let's hope not, but as I said, the uncertainty is just there at the moment and we don't know. Tomorrow, there's also the decision on whether the EU will impose any tariffs. That's going to be very, very interesting in my opinion. Let's take a look at the altcoins. Ethereum is completely underwater, has tanked below $3,000. There's really nothing more to say about that. For me, there's just no long option at the moment. It's the same story with Solana. It has dropped off significantly. If you want, you can definitely close out this position from up here. By now, we've dropped 14% in Solana within a single day, and it's still down 11.5%. Take 50 to 75% off the table, and then wait for a rebound, because here too, it's basically the same pattern as with Bitcoin. We see a recovery to the upside, liquidity builds up again, and from there, we end up forming a new low to the downside. That means here I would definitely take big profits for now. And if we take a quick look at where are they, the funding rates, they're still simply positive for Bitcoin, and it's the same story for the altcoins as well. So it still really doesn't look like we're going to get a sustainable rally to the upside here. Gold, on the other hand, is a completely different story. Gold is pumping and pumping and pumping, and that's actually more of a sign that if Japan had really calmed down for good and the whole story with Greenland was over, then gold would be falling. But gold isn't falling. Gold just keeps pumping and simply knows no bounds at all. And I'm really curious to see how much longer this can go on, because all the hedge funds are, of course, already short. We already talked about this a week ago in the Commitments of Traders report. Silver, same story. It'll probably make its next move upward as well, so I still wouldn't short it. Just leave it alone as long as these uncertainties are around. Once the uncertainties are gone, it'll drop quickly, and then you can still open a short position, but for now, just keep your hands off it. Take profits. There's really nothing more I can say about it. The dollar is falling, or rather, it's now risen slightly again. At the moment, the euro is simply the safe haven, strangely enough, but that's probably due to the whole situation with Trump. USD JPY is still holding at a high level. As I said, the issue isn't over yet. The intervention hasn't started yet, even though I actually expected it to start today. Why? Because Japan announced it. Japan got the green light from the US, but then yesterday, the US said basically, well, we need to talk to Japan. So it's a really strange situation just to stabilize the markets a bit for now. Whether that's a good thing, I don't know. The volatility index also spiked upwards yesterday. A brief pause might not actually be such a bad thing at this point, but definitely still be cautious when we look at the traditional markets. I took profit on the DAX yesterday, as I mentioned in the group, mainly because we were right at the support level for now. At least there's hope that if we possibly turn this into an ABC, we might see a recovery here, maybe into the gap, and then see the next sell-off. That's why I took profit yesterday. The Dow Jones initially broke out of our rising wedge to the upside, or rather broke downwards out of it. S&P 500, same story. We broke down, took profit, and now we're nicely in the green there as well, up 1.73% from that point. First take profit taken here too. Stop loss set to entry. US Tech 100 is falling. Russell is still at an okay level. And as I just mentioned, the volatility index as well. So to sum it up, be careful right now, seriously. I really mean it. Don't over leverage yourselves, and don't try to chase FOMO just because prices are dropping at the moment. Things could get much worse, let me just say that. The news situation definitely supports that possibility, especially as long as this whole story, and you can see the whole Greenland topic, is still not off the table. Next up is the Panama Canal, then Venezuela, then Trump. And by the way, he also wants Canada, just saying. Just be careful, don't over leverage yourselves, and let the market settle down a bit before you start buying again or doing anything else. It's definitely very risky at the moment. But all right, let's see what else happens. Otherwise, that's it from my side for now. Thank you for watching. We'll definitely catch up in the next video. Feel free to leave a like, subscribe, join the Telegram group, and I wish you a great and successful start to your day. Until then, ciao, and as always,